Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Will Homescream, and welcome back to the channel for more Destiny 2 news and intel, and so much stuff to cover in today's video. We are on the 24-hour countdown to the launch of Edge of Fate. Everything is going to be changing forever. We're going to be getting the new updates to the armor and weapon systems. We're going to have a lot of new activities to jump into, as well as the new portal in order to access those activities. We'll have the new campaign. So for today's video, I want to do a breakdown on some of the things that you should expect tomorrow, especially for my solo or new or returning players. We'll do a brief roundup on some things that you might want to jump in and grab while we still have time before the servers go down tomorrow. I would expect that the servers are going to go down probably 2 hours before the actual launch of Edge of Fate. I'm sure there'll be some updates on Bungie's Twitter page or whatever social media they choose to use as far as outreach is concerned at this point. But I'll suspect it's going to be about 2 hours before the launch of Edge of Fate. So I'll cover some power leveling options, some things that I think everybody's going to want to know about, as it's going to be a full reset to power. If you didn't know that already, everybody's going to be reset to 10. And the max power now is going to be 450. That is for the pinnacle power, of course, not for the soft cap of power. And there can be some confusion with those things, as I'm sure getting to the soft cap, which is going to be 200 power, is going to be fairly easy to understand for most new or returning or solo players. But beyond that, that's where things will get a little bit more tricky, and having some in-depth knowledge of the game, as someone like myself does after years of being on the power grind, seasonal or yearly in Destiny 2, and going through all the iterations of it as I have, then maybe I can instill a bit of knowledge that will help and make things just, a little bit more user-friendly and a little bit more intuitive, as it's never really been that intuitive. Though I will say the things that are changing, I think, will help. Briefly, before we get into that, just want to remind everybody to head over to Xur if you have not this weekend. We have an amazing cache of good stuff. I would say that this is probably one of the best Xurs we've had all year, if not for even longer than that. But we have the Ace of Spades Catalyst. Definitely pick it up if you don't have it. We have the Lumina Catalyst. Definitely pick these up if you don't have it. Or this up if you don't have it. We have the Shards of Galanor with a 63 roll. May be able to skip it, though it is a fairly decent exotic. We have the Aeon Safe for the Titans with a decent roll, but also may be able to skip it if you already have it. And then we have the Karenstein Armlets with a 67 roll. I would definitely pick these up if you don't have them. We also have exotic class items. Remember, you can only purchase exotic class items if you've completed the dual Destiny mission already, or if you were able to acquire these through the Festival of the Lost this past year. Still get questions about that on occasion. Over on the Strange Gear offers, there was some interesting stuff. We had the Nightfall Ciphers. Use them while we still got them. I think these are going to be going away. Remember to pick up your Favor of the Nine buff, because this will carry forward even to the Edge of Fate as far as farming all the strange coins you might want. And Xur is going to be getting a huge buff heading into the Edge of Fate, so there's going to be a lot more stuff that you want from Xur. It's probably going to be the best vendor in the game once again. I would say he's pretty much there right now, but it's going to be even better. Ada 1 is going to be also getting a pretty big buff. Banshee 44, unfortunately, is going to be getting the nerf, and I think they got to figure out something new to do with Banshee 44. We had a fairly decent Hawkmoon. We had the Jade Rabbit Risk Runner, which will also be really good in the Edge of Fate. We had the Darcy, which will also be, I think, very decent in the Edge of Fate. And then we had the Slayer's Fang, the newly added exotic weapon to the Xur cache. I don't know if we're going to see this again, much like the Choir of One that we had last week, or the Chore of One. Everybody liked letting me know in the comments how I said that incorrectly. I knew as soon as I said it incorrectly. I don't even know why I said it incorrectly. I know it's the Chore of One, but I still said it incorrectly. But we have the Slayer's Fang still available until tomorrow, and who knows if we'll ever see this weapon again sold at Xur, but certainly a great one to pick up, especially for my Invis hunters out there. I think this is going to be the go-to. It also has some intrinsic perks for champions, which are going to be great heading into Edge of Fate, so worth picking up. In fact, definitely pick it up if you don't have it before tomorrow's reset. And remember, tomorrow's reset will not be at the normal time. Expect at least 2 hours before the servers to go down for a little while for scheduled maintenance. They should be back up by the time reset would normally happen. So for me, I'm on the East Coast, so it would be East Coast of the U.S. would be 1 p.m. for myself. I would expect at least an hour delay, and then there's going to be server issues just for the whole day. I don't expect to get into the game until at least 2 p.m., maybe even 3. A couple of other interesting options, but nothing to really write home about. This rocket launcher is also not bad. Unfortunately, we had glitched armor this week. We'll take a brief run around the tower for all our other vendors really quick, but as we do, I'm just going to now get into how power really will work in the Edge of Fate. Now, it's not going to be that dissimilar to how we have it normally. However, everything is going to be accessed through the portal, so our map, our directory of the solar system is going to be going away. And for returning players, this could be jarring because I think that's sort of been a staple in Destiny for a long time. And if you know how to read it, it's actually very easy to navigate what you want to do next. For solo players, maybe not so much, as there really isn't a curated solo playlist, which there will be now. So a lot of those activities, even if you knew where you wanted to go in order to help level up, you probably couldn't do them as a solo player, unfortunately. That's not going to be the case anymore. We are now going to have a fully curated solo playlist that will, in fact, help you level up in the Edge of Fate. So just something to keep in mind. And for newer players, I think it's actually going to be good to have the portal, as the directory can get a little bit confusing. And some of the icons in the directory may be a little too small sometimes, in my opinion. If you know what to look for, I think it's good. But if you don't, you're like looking for a dungeon to do, you might not find it. But we're still going to use the directory as it stands right now, just to kind of give reference to some icons that you should be looking for in the Edge of Fate, because some of those are going to be the same, even through the portal. So as I round out my last vendor here, we're then going to jump into that. I'll give a brief description, which I'm going to read as far as how power is going to function, from an article. I think it's a good article. Can leave it linked in the description box down below, but essentially I'm going to just read it off. I think it was a good synopsis of everything that you should expect. Remember, if you're looking for a good ornament for the Finality's Augur, if you've had the opportunity of getting it, we had the Flower Game stamp weapon ornament available until tomorrow's reset. We also had over at Saint 14 a couple of good adept weapons for PvE. But as I said, the soft cap is going to be 200. We're going to start off at 10 power. All your armor and weapons will still have all their perks on them. All the exotics will still be working the same. So even at 10 power, you're still going to be getting the bump from all of that. The artifact power, will be going away. Artifice armor will still be very, very relevant. So all your stat bonuses from the things that you have will give you that added bump heading into the Edge of Fate. So it's not going to be as if you're starting from 10 flat with nothing to help, give that little extra bump to weapons damage or to your refresh rate on, different, not activities, but different things that your character is built into. So any attributes that you've built into, any way that you've curated your build, all those things are going to work still heading into the Edge of Fate. Also remember, all the DLCs are currently free on any platform, so if there's anything you don't own, The only things you're not going to be able to keep, unfortunately, are the Strand subclass as well as the Prismatic subclass if you unlock them. But all exotics from anything will be able to be kept if you can complete them before July 22nd. Very good pulse rifle for PvE, available this week from Trials of Osiris until tomorrow. But you can actually keep the Stasis subclass. So, interestingly enough, that one will sometime carry into the future. Hopefully all the others will eventually too, and we'll get another free DLC up until, or another free DLC period sometime in the Edge of Fate. But, as I said, everything in your subclass, as far as build, concern, weapons, and exotics you might be using, will all still carry forward into the Edge of Fate. But you will be reset as far as power is concerned down to 0. So I'm just going to open up my character really quick, point out some things that will be changing. So over on our artifact, we are not going to have artifact power anymore. Your gear will be the extra power that you get past a specific point. So if you want to reach 450, which is going to be the max power that you can reach, at least until Ash and Iron launches later in the Edge of Fate, you will do it all through collecting gear by doing more difficult activities. So it's not going to be XP farming in the same way. There'll still be XP farming, but it's not going to be XP farming specifically for power. We will still have our artifact, of course, but really XP is just going to be to unlock the different mods that we'll have in it. Power is not really going to be tied to it. Now, if we open up the directory, and this is going to be the big thing that's going to be changing, we will now, of course, not have any of this. Well, we will still have it, but it really won't be the thing that you go to in order to select the next activity. We will have the portal now and an option to still see this screen if we want. But the portal is going to be the primary source of power farming, especially past 200 power. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to do the campaign. You can do the campaign normally. I would suggest doing the new campaign on Legendary. That is going to get you, 1, raid ready if you can complete it on Legendary, and 2 is going to get you some decent gear, and it's definitely going to get you to 200 power. Beyond that, I would actually maybe suggest doing the higher level versions of the campaign. So if you can, I believe there's going to be 2 levels now above Legendary. If you can complete those, that will also net you some of the new tier armor, as well as give you some much needed power. But then, you're going to go to the portal. And the things you're going to be looking for are these icons. So anything that has these gold icons on it, these are the things that tell you where the pinnacle rewards will be. So you're going to be looking for prime engrams. We're going back to, well, we've always had prime engrams, but they're really going to be more specific now in that there used to be different tiers of prime engrams, some that were better, some that dropped you. All prime engrams are really going to be the things that you're looking for now. So through the portal, in all the different curated playlists, so there'll be one for solo players, there'll be one for groups, you're going to be looking for the activities, and I'm sure that they'll bring them to the forefront so that people don't really have to look very hard. But you're going to be looking for things with these icons. Those are going to be the things that you want to do first and foremost. Now, I'm just going to break and read this article, which, as I said, I thought was a very good breakdown and probably will do a slightly better job than me, but I'll fill in the gaps as we go. So, after the expansion, the initial power will be 10, as I said, while the maximum will be 200. Now, just playing through the campaign should get you to 200. This cap is without considering any seasonal boosts. 200 is without considering any seasonal boosts. However, the seasonal boosts active, with seasonal boosts active, the power level cap will be 450. So that's with the seasonal boosts active. So we're going to a whole new system now where every season we're essentially going to be farming power through our armor for that season, as well as a number of other things like armor sets and tier bonuses and stuff like that. It's going to be a whole new system. Every season, we will also be reset to 200, ultimately with a higher cap later on. So we'll get to that in a second once I finish reading this. But however, with seasonal boost active, the level cap will be 450. However, you'll be able to take that up to 550 once Ash and Iron releases. So that's going to be later on. I believe that's in September. Whenever you take part in an activity, you will get gear and items that are of a higher power level than your current level. This system will continue until you reach 200 power. So if you're getting power easily at the start, if you're a newer player, you might not understand that at 200, that's going to end. You will no longer be getting higher power gear from just random activities or any activity you play. So at that point, you're going to need to start curating exactly what activities you're going to be doing. After that, you should switch to portal activities if you want to grind for higher power level gear pieces. As for seasonal power, you will get the bonus power level that lets you exceed the soft cap from using weapons and gear. This won't be tied to the seasonal artifact anymore, so you'll have more payoff in tackling missions at higher difficulties. So essentially, the higher level the difficulty, the thing that you're doing, the better gear and the more power you're going to get from it. It's actually a little bit more straightforward now than it currently is, though there'll be more stuff tied into what ultimately culminates to all that power. So you're going to be getting the power from a lot more sources as far as on your person, but the things that you're going to be doing are going to be a lot more straightforward. It's just going to be the more difficult the thing, the more power you're going to get. Since they will grant you weapons and gear that offer increased bonus. Lastly, there isn't any weekly cap when it comes to your power, unlike previous updates. How to increase power level bonuses. You can grind bonus power levels by taking part in portal activities. These should help you get to level 400. For the last 50 levels, you'll need to acquire prime engrams. Getting high scores in your portal activities will get you prime engrams. So the better you do in the higher level activities, the more power you're going to get. So at a certain point, all you'll have to do is play. That'll get you to 200. Past that, you want to do the higher level activities. And then past that, you want to do really well in those higher level activities. But there will be, of course, now a curated playlist for all three of those things. Meaning if you're a solo player, you're not going to have to worry that you can't do an activity because it's part of a group thing that would be the only way to level up past a certain point. You're not going to have that problem anymore. While I'm explaining this, I'm also going to just take us over to the emissary, because if you haven't visited the emissary at all this week, you definitely want to get over there. As you improve your power levels, you'll get access to higher tier weapons and gear, all of which prove invaluable in the endgame activities. There are 5 tiers of items, as most people know, with the highest tier offering the best stats and cosmetics, so you'll want to grind up your power levels as soon as possible. And that's pretty much it. It's, like I said, fairly straightforward, but I think for new or returning players, because we're going to have the portal, it's going to be a lot of different things contributing to your overall power versus sort of the artifact and just, getting some prime engrams. The prime engrams are still going to be there. They're still going to be very important, but you're not going to be getting them in the same way that you used to. And they're only going to really be available once you get past a certain point. If you are going for a day 1 raid readiness, just doing the legendary campaign, well, first of all, you have to do the campaign in order to have access to the raid, but also, Bungie has said just doing the legendary campaign will have you raid ready for day 1. So I don't think the raid requirement is going to be that high, and there's probably going to be a cap on it for day 1 raiders. We'll also have a contest mode for the first 48 hours, so just keep that in mind. Remember to finish buying your non-area engrams for any of the free exotics. You don't want to miss out on any of these free exotics or cosmetics. Make sure to pick up any of these because some of them are amazing. Outbreak Perfected. If you do not have it, this saves you the problem of, or the hassle of having to do the exotic mission. Same thing with Whisper of the Worm. Graviton Lance is an amazing exotic to have. Polaris Lance is also great. Arbalist, if you're a solo player, this is a must-have. World Line Zero, I haven't used much, but I actually took the time to buy it. I never really took the time to focus on this weapon, even though I believe it's available from the Tower Kiosk as well. I never really cared, but I did buy it from the Emissary. So if you don't have any of these, definitely pick them up and make sure to get your free cosmetics while you can. Remember, this will be leaving tomorrow as well. There's also a whole bunch of adept weapons that you can buy. I'm sure most people have all of them already, but they will be worth tier 3s heading into the Edge of Fate. A couple of the things that I just wanted to round up. Remember, we still have the Lootapalooza going on, I believe, until the end of this month. As I said before, the free DLCs until July 22nd. A little bit of lore thing I wanted to touch on really fast, as I have been trying to kind of hype the lore a little bit in Edge of Fate, as it's going to be dealing with the 9, and they've always been kind of one of my favorite things. But, there has been a reveal that the Emissary, to my right here, to my left, is going to be replaced. And there's now a big debate about who's going to be the replacement. Apparently the 9 are going to pick their replacement. I think a lot of people think it's going to be Lodi, the new character. I think Lodi is going to be important in the story, though I think their character is going to be more of a connection to the person that'll ultimately be the new Emissary, which I think is going to be the focus, even though they're kind of giving us a red herring and focusing on Lodi and all the trailers leading up to the launch of Edge of Fate. But I think, or what I think is going to happen, is Lodi is going to be a connection to the past of another previously existing character who will ultimately become the Emissary. And there was one other character who they showed in the trailers, or one of the trailers, that Lodi seemed to know, though they didn't know Lodi. And I think it could be tied to their past, and maybe the past of this character before they were reincarnated or brought back by the ghost as a guardian. And that is going to be Ikora. So it is my opinion that the new Emissary will be Ikora. And the new Warlock Vanguard will be Lodi. Or at least, or maybe Lodi will be the bad guy, and, maybe realizing that will ultimately be what makes Ikora become the Emissary in some way. But I think that's going to be a central plot point. Let me know if you are on that same wavelength as I am. Let me know if you think I'm right or if I'm wrong. But that's going to conclude all the information in today's video. Thanks so much for watching. As always, I usually don't post on Tuesdays, but because we will have the launch tomorrow, I will probably post something, maybe on updates to some of the stuff that we've talked about in today's video as far as power is concerned. If there are any glitches or, ways to cheese out the power, get up a little bit faster, maybe the fastest method to power farming, I will give you updates as far as those things are concerned tomorrow. But if you don't hear from me tomorrow, be on the lookout for a major update on the channel Wednesday. But we might be posting something every day this week just because there's going to be so much going on. So just be on the lookout. Keep informed as much as you can. And keep checking in to see if I've posted something new. Before I end today's video, I also wanted to do some shout-outs to those who have become channel members or contributed to the channel, made a donation as of late. Remember, if you become a channel member or decide to contribute to the channel, not only will it give you an entry into the next giveaway or all future giveaways on this channel. We do one every 1,000 subscribers, remember, so you never want to miss out. We're almost to 91,000 already, which is absolutely insane because we just passed 90,000 like a week and a half ago. When we reach 100,000 subscribers on the channel, we'll be giving away a new console or a video card if you play on PC. Remember, 70% of the people who watch my channel regularly are still not subscribed. So remember to subscribe. It is for free, and it is the #1 thing that you can do to help support the channel. And why not turn on the bell, the post notifications, so you never miss out on any future Destiny 2 content like this. Remember, it's all free. The only things that cost money are if you do become a channel member or decide to donate to the channel. I believe a channel membership is $5 a month. You'll be able to watch all my content without any ads on it. Or if you just feel like leaving a tip or donation, that is just out of the kindness of your heart, and you know that I appreciate it so much. As I said, you'll receive a friend request from me as well as a shout out on a future video. So if you need help in anything heading into the Edge of Fate, it's a way of, well, to be honest, I'll probably send you a friend request if you need help anyway, but you will be on my friends list, and yeah, who knows, you might end up in a video in the future. A lot of people do. If you become a friend with me in-game, most likely you'll end up in a video in the future, as I like to just keep everybody within arm's reach in my community. You know, I like to feel like everybody has access to me as much as I possibly can, because I really do appreciate you being here. But now, without further ado, just some of these shout-outs. Shout out to DJ Oros, my buddy Lord Sinister, as always. My friend Baked Goodies, always helping out on the one way or the other in the videos. Shout out to my buddy Black Iron Man, as well as Buddha, because there's just some buddies of mine who I'm sure you'll see in future videos, as well as shout out to Mike. Mike knows who he is. And then to those who have donated to the channel, also become some friends of mine. We got C. John, we got Charlie Boy, we got Sark Kamar, Rage Forever, DG Striker, we got Rabbit Ice, Justin St. John, Brizga Foos, Ronald Johnson, Zach Attack, big thanks to him for the donation in the last video. Aaron Batts, Joakim Uppling, Chris Scott, Nomad, Chris Scott, and then also Nomad, Chip and Soda, Velvet Hammer, Richard Hartnett, Most Unknown, Jade, Ronald Johnson, Artist, and Jay Talley. Thank you all so much for all the support on the channel, and anybody who has subscribed as well recently. Thank you all so much. Really appreciate it, as always. Sorry if we've been on a few tangents in today's video, but just like to do a bit of a roundup and say, just give you a lot of prep for tomorrow and my true thanks for everything leading up to the Edge of Fate. It's going to be a busy week, I know, and I'm excited to jump into all the new content and bring it to all of you. So thank you all once more, and as always, I am Wilhelm Scream, and we will see you very soon. Be on the lookout for videos, possibly tomorrow, if not Wednesday, definitely Thursday, possibly, and Friday for a brand new Xur with a huge update. So just be on the lookout this week. And of course, we will see you, as I said, very shortly next time.